Well, hey there, Streakers. Happy New Year. Hopefully you have been enjoying the new year. I think I have a case of the after-holiday blues. Today it's gray outside and I'm just not feeling it. You know what I mean? Have you been there? I know it may sound like I'm feeling it, but man, I'm having to drag myself through a couple of different things. The start of the year is not as taking off as I thought it might. I'm without my lovely co-host today. She's taking care of our college kids, getting them back to school. So you've got me today, and I've got a couple of articles that I want to share with you. Interesting ones. One specifically on streaks and the other on social media. So with that, let's start streaking. What is streaking and why should you do it?
Streaking is how you set up personal winning streaks. Look at who you want to be and what you need to do to become that person. This is streaking.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Jamie.
And we are streakers. Through 30 years of marriage and 7 children, we have learned the power of consecutive consistency or streaking.
To start streaking is simple. You just follow these 3 laws. Make it laughably simple, keep a record, and join the streaking community.
Streaking is your hidden superpower. With it, you will consistently progress and grow in whatever area of life you want.
In this podcast, Jeff and I will share all the fun, exciting, serious, solemn, wonderful parts of family, spiritual, professional, and personal life, and how streaking powers it all.
So join us in the conversation, join the movement, and start streaking today. As I mentioned, 2 articles that I have today that I want to discuss with you. And the first one is an article that was written by one of our guests on Streaking, Professor Danny Weathers, and he was asked to contribute an article on streaks and streaking. He's done the research for it and everything else. I'm going to share that one with you, and another one on social media, on what it is as far as the social media, it's just a short little article, but it has some implications that I want to discuss with you as well. So with that, let's start with Professor Danny Weathers' article. And I want to read the article to you because it contains many of the things that we talk about on a regular basis, but it's approaching it from the academic standpoint, which is a lot of fun. Because Jamie and I were actually talking about this the other day, where we were saying everything that he said in his article, we actually discovered through trial and error and really working together on our streaks and streaking in particular. This is, and I'll put this link in the show notes. It's from let's see here, Academic Rigor, Journalistic Flair. It's from, I think, a magazine website called The Conversation. The Conversation. Keeping a streak alive can be strong motivation to stick with a chosen activity. And it was published the day after Christmas, December 26, 2023, and written by Professor Danny Weathers, who's at Clemson University. We're excited. We'll have Danny back on in a little while. He's just been made department chair, which is fantastic, and he continues to work with with streaking. We've actually provided for him some data around streaking and just all the different things that are happening. Anonymous. Don't worry about it, streakers. We're not giving away any information that would identify anyone, but it is information that would help us improve our behavior, all of us. Okay, so with that being said, let's get into this. And some of this stuff he talked about with us when he was on the podcast with us. Dick Coffey attended 781 consecutive University of Alabama football games. Meg Rowe surfed through illness, storms, and nightfall to maintain a 7-year daily surfing streak. John Sutherland ran at least 1 mile every day for over 52 years. An activity streak has the power to compel behavior, and marketers have taken note. Marketing researchers Jackie Silverman and Alexandra Barsic recently documented 101 unique instances, including Snapchat, Candy Crush Saga, Wordle, and the Duolingo language learning platform, of apps that have incorporated streaks into their architecture. By tracking the number of consecutive days users complete a task. There are even apps dedicated solely to tracking streaks. One of those happens to be Streaking. In fact, let's see if it gives us the link here. Oh yeah, links it right over to the Streaking platform. Woohoo! Thanks for the plug, Professor Weathers. What is it about streaks that makes them so compelling? I'm interested in consumer behavior and decision making. For insight into streaks and their motivating influence, I conducted research recently published in the Journal of the Academy of Marketing Science on the phenomenon. What is a streak? Because there's no generally accepted definition of what a streak is, I started by trying to define the phenomenon. Based on input from people maintaining streaks and how streaks are described in popular media, I suggest they have 4 underlying characteristics. First, streaks require unchanging performance and temporal parameters. In other words, rules established by the streaker or others define what it means to successfully complete the activity and the schedule for doing so. For example, a streak may involve completing a session of 50 push-ups every calendar day. Second, the streak holder largely attributes completing the activity to his or her resolve. Third, a streak is a series of the same completed activity that the person maintaining the streak considers to be uninterrupted. Fourth, the streaker quantifies this series duration. For instance, a streak holder can tell you exactly how many consecutive workdays they've biked into the office, or they tell you the precise date the streak began. This definition distinguishes an activity streak from winning streaks and lucky streaks. Unlike activity streaks, winning streaks depend on the performance of others, an opponent, while lucky streaks involve outcomes that are not under the control of the person executing the streak. My definition also highlights that streaks are perceptual. Some people who have completed an objectively uninterrupted series of an activity may not view that as a streak. Others who have not completed the activity every time the opportunity arises may believe they have a streak. Is it a streak, habit, or collection? People often engage in behaviors or recurring way of acting in a given situation. People often engage in behavior patterns or a recurring way of acting in a given situation. Had to read that sentence over. I think I skipped a word. A streak is a form of patterned behavior, but there are others. Most people have habits, which are reflex-like and triggered by the context. For example, many people mindlessly fasten their seatbelts upon getting in a car. That automatic aspect sets a habit apart from a streak. A streak often requires the actor to have a strategy for completing the activity in various situations or contexts. For example, someone with a streak of running at least 1 mile every calendar day may need to carefully plan a run when traveling across time zones. While developing a habit may be appealing because it minimizes thinking, I discovered that the challenge of finding a way to complete the behavior can motivate many streak holders. Failing to perform a habitual behavior on occasion will have little impact on the likelihood of the person performing the behavior in the future. Conversely, failing to perform a behavior that is part of a streak ends the streak. For some people, ending a streak discouraged the behavior in the future. The streak is over. Why bother? For others, it hardened their resolve. The streak is over. I've got to start another streak as soon as possible. Creating a collection is another form of pattern behavior. Collections typically involve dissimilar objects connected by a common meaning. For example, Jay Leno is known for his collection of antique and exotic cars. But unlike a streak, a collection does not end if someone fails to add to it every time the opportunity arises. I found that a collection of experiences or stories is often a byproduct of maintaining a streak. Why do streaks motivate behavior? By tapping into various psychological drivers of behavior, streaks can motivate people in several ways. In general, a streak adds a higher level goal, keeping the streak alive, to a lower level goal, completing an individual activity. Streaks also add structure to an activity, and structure can simplify thinking and decision making. The extent to which goal achievement or structure is important to you would influence your commitment to a streak. I also found the way a streak is structured can affect the streak holder's commitment to it. For example, a streak of meditating at least 20 minutes each day may be more appealing and lead to more commitment than a streak of meditating at least 140 minutes each week. While the amount of meditating is the same in both cases, a daily streak adds structure, thus simplifying decision-making and encourages the person to regularly engage in a beneficial behavior. Streaks can serve to gamify the underlying activity by creating rules and quantifying the outcome. And many people enjoy the challenge of a game. Finally, I found that activities that are more relevant to one's identity are more likely to generate commitment to a streak. If someone identifies as religious, a daily streak of praying may be more appealing than a daily streak of playing Wordle, because a praying streak can provide a way of demonstrating one's desired identity to others. While streaks can compel behavior, they do not motivate all people for all situations. They can even have the opposite effect. Some people are turned off by the prospect of a streak because they're concerned about being obligated to it. As reflected in the comments of a former streaker, I realized that if I let it, the streak could become a thing that controlled my life, my travel, and those around me. Streaks and the new year. As the calendar turns to a new year, many people resolve to engage in self-improving behaviors that facilitate better mental or physical health. People often begin streaks on January 1 or other important dates, such as holidays, birthdays, or anniversaries of noteworthy events. Such temporal landmarks add meaning and structure to the streak and create a fresh start effect. While many people make New Year's resolutions, only a small percentage of people complete them. My research suggests that structuring a resolution as a streak may be the nudge that some people need to stick with it further into the new year and maybe far beyond. Isn't that a great article on streaks and streaking? Here's a couple of things that, as I read through it, I wanted to comment on and go back to just a little bit. The reason why I want to is because in his article and in his research and studies, one of the things that the study does not go into is how to set up a successful streak, which is what the streaking book and streaking is all about. The 3 laws of streaking is how to set up a successful streak. And if you set up a successful streak, that successful streak will be something that motivates you and keeps you winning. For example, when he talked about, or he quoted the runner that was, let's see here, said, I realized that a former streak runner, I realized that if I let it, the streak could become a thing that controlled my life, my travel, and those around me. Just a comment on that real quickly. The comment is this: as you set up streaks that are aligned with who you want to be, that then means you are in control of the streak, and also the streak is pointed at who you ultimately want to be. That's one of the secrets that we miss. You're not just streaking for streaking success. You're doing it because you want to become someone. You are looking at it and saying, I want to be a continuous learner. Therefore, I will have a streak that does such and such and so and so. For example, read a paragraph in a book. That individual streak and what you want to become then helps you to not only keep the streak alive, but also to activate, the streak helps you activate the gamer part of your brain. And that gamer part of your brain also helps you to overcome the natural lazy response. When I say the lazy response, what we talk about is in the brain. The brain wants to conserve energy no matter what. Therefore, it will move whatever it can to a lower thought process, or in other words, and what he mentions here, the habit area of the brain. Why? Because motor skills, how we breathe, how we walk, how we tie the shoe, how you type on the keyboard, those motor skills are ones that we don't want occupying the frontal lobe of our brain. What we really want is good, conscious, deliberate action occupying the frontal lobe of our brain. And I want to spend energy on those things. Therefore, a streak helps you to put into your cognitive brain, into the frontal lobe, those activities that you want to do consistently, day, weekly, or monthly, and puts them in a place where you can act on them deliberately. And because it's laughably simple, you overcome the brain's natural rejection response. So as I read through this, and you heard a couple of other things, one other notice, and this is true across the board, most people start with a physical streak. And you heard him, he quoted physical streaks. What you soon realize once you get your physical streak going is that it applies in every other area of life, your spiritual life, your mental life, your intellectual life, social life, all of those areas. A streak in any one of those areas helps you become the person you want to be. I do a lot of work with sales professionals, and with sales professionals, I just actually posted this on LinkedIn. 91% of clients or customers are willing to give a referral, but only about 10% of sales professionals ask. Why? Because it's difficult. It's something that's not right there. Well, if you make it intentional by setting a streak, I'm going to ask for at least one introduction or referral a week. What that then does is start to exercise the frontal lobe of your brain and put it in a place where I've got to fill the streak. I'm going to get this done. Keep the streak alive. That is what you need to do. And again, you'll notice the streak itself, if you're a sales professional listening to this, one referral a week, asking for one referral or introduction a week, it's laughably simple. And that's important because the consecutive nature of the streak, in other words, doing it over a long period of time, will get you more benefit and gain than by doing 10 referrals in a week. This is true of any other part of life. If you're a mom listening to this, if you're single listening to this, if you are any aspect of life, parents, not parents, anywhere at all, look at your life, decide and determine who you want to be, who you want to become, and then set streaks in that area to become that person. Now, this isn't if you've been listening for a long time, you know that I've talked a lot about this before. I really was interested in the way that Professor Weathers put it in his article here, The Conversation. And I agree, keeping a streak alive not only can be strong motivation to stick with a chosen activity, it really is a strong motivation, and it comes from within. As you set your streaks, make sure they're yours. Thanks, Professor Weathers. Appreciate it. Look forward to having you on in a future podcast. I want to switch gears just a little bit to another article that was sent to me. And the article was one that we had some conversation about this over the holiday break. My son-in-law sent this to me. This is out of The Hustle. And again, this is like a total switching gears. Teenagers are obsessed with YouTube, and so is everyone else. It says that, and this is out of The Hustle, and let me see who the author of this is. I don't see who the author is. It doesn't have a specific author. Oh, there it is. Sarah Friedman writes this on January 2nd, 2024. From cassette players to iPods to smartphones, teenagers have been tuning out the world by pressing play for decades. But social media has brought the addiction to a whole new level, and YouTube in particular is taking off with teens. According to new data from the Pew Research Center, Pew's 2023 survey of 1.4 thousand, so 14,000 plus 13 to 17-year-olds found out that 93% of teens use YouTube. I can attest to that personally. I have my anecdotal evidence from my two sons who use YouTube incessantly. They're on YouTube probably every day. 71% say they visit the platform daily. Okay, there's Pew Research. 16% report being on the site almost constantly. It's not just YouTube, of course. Teens are spreading their attention spans across other apps though the rest lagged behind by 30% or more. TikTok had 63% of teens using the app, followed by Snapchat at 60% and Instagram at 59%. Altogether, a third of teens reported using at least one of 5 sites: YouTube, TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, and Facebook, almost constantly. A similar finding to last year's survey. The teens aren't alone. In their love for YouTube, the platform has 2.7 billion with a B, monthly active users, and it's just getting started on its 2024 takeover. YouTube is ending legacy pricing, charging all premium users $13.99 per month as of January. Google Podcasts will shutter in 2024, and YouTube Music will become the one-stop shop for podcasts. YouTube is already blazing the AI trail with music tools that can clone the voices of famous singers or generate music from a user's hum. As YouTube stars rises, so too do concerns over harmful effects of social media. The American Psychological Association recommended teens undergo training before logging on. And while the risks are very real, so are the possible rewards of YouTube stardom, making influencer the new dream job for many young people. As I read through this and thought about social media and where social media is going and what it's doing, it is something that is going to be a part of our lives from here on out. There are those who say, I do not use social media. I am not one of them. I actually use YouTube and LinkedIn. Those are my two social media go-tos. I don't spend a lot of time on Instagram. Well, I don't spend any time on Instagram, nor do I've spent a little bit. I created an account on TikTok and started to post a little bit to that. But the other social media platform that I post to on a regular basis, not all the time, is the Streakin app. That is a different type of social media. As you look at social media here, a lot of it is for entertainment's sake. Now, I would say in YouTube, I go to shorts for entertainment's sake. However, I will go there for how to get something done, how to complete a task that I need to get done. For example, just the other day, I know what it was. We have this pull-out trash can, and for some reason it was tilting to the left. And so I looked on YouTube. I just typed in, how do I fix my pull-out trash can? And sure enough, 10 videos came up. Not all of them applied. 1 or 2 of them applied. I looked it up, found what it was that I needed to do, got the pull-out trash can fixed. That is the power of YouTube. And there are so many different things you can do with it, from solving calculus to working in the shop to figuring out what you may want to do for a gift idea. All of it is in there in YouTube because it's user-generated content. And all of us as users have so many wonderful positive things to provide in this world. That's one of the reasons why I like the social media aspect of the Streakin app that we're setting up, is because it's this positive place where people are doing a singular task as a streak, or a singular activity as a streak that's helping them become who they want to be, and then reporting that they actually got it done. It is so fantastic to see, to understand, and to appreciate. As I look at what is being reported here, the question then for all of us, if you're a parent, is how do I guide my teenager in a good way of using social media? And I would say this even more so for us as parents. How do we guide ourselves in using social media? You know that I have a streak to search for at least one inspiring person, place, or thing every day. When I set that streak, I didn't know exactly where it was I was going to go to search. One place, though, that has become a really great place to search is actually YouTube Shorts. When I go to YouTube Shorts, I actively and deliberately thumbs down or dislike those things that I don't want to see, and thumbs up those things that I want to see, and therefore am presented, because the algorithm starts to recognize the things that I like, and presented with just those things that inspire me. No longer do I get awful ads or sexualized content or anything that is violent. I go away from all of those things and look for and have just those things that inspire me. This is the deliberate, intentional action that each of you can do as well. Talk with your teenagers about the intentionality of what it is that they do. If it inspires you to live in a way that is lawful and good, a good citizen. It promotes happiness inside. It promotes this idea of prosperity and fortune and moving forward, progress, growth. All of those things are great things that we should absolutely have our search algorithm, our search engine optimization be in these particular apps. So should our teenagers. As we talk with them, as we talk with any of our children, what is it that you like? What is it that you don't like? And start actively engaging in that so that you're not being fed whatever someone else thinks you should be fed in regards to your social media intake. Having a streak to search for inspiring person, place, or thing will then help you to sculpt that. And why is it that I want to have that type of a streak? Because I want to be the kind of person that is contributing to the world and being inspired by those who are inspiring. That's the kind of person that I want to be. I want to engage with those type of people. In fact, there's many of the people that I follow that I've invited to be on the podcast, on the Streaking podcast, because of their expertise in their chosen craft. And many have come on the podcast, which has been great. As we go forward, as you go forward, and thinking about different streaks that you might have, remember that when those streaks line up with who you want to be, you start to change the world around you to answer those questions that you might have of how you get to who you want to be. Having social media, we're using social media in the Streaking app. Why? Because I look there often for the inspiring person, place, or thing as well. Because it is so inspiring to see people striving diligently to put their life in the path of excellence. Those two articles today were the ones that inspired me, that I thought I would share with you. Hopefully you are having a great streaking journey. I know that many of you set New Year's resolutions. We've had thousands of people join the app in the last, what are we, 3 days, 4 days into January. We've had thousands of people joining the app because right now it's New Year's resolutions. Resolve to be better. And how do you resolve to be better? Well, you look at who you want to be and then set streaks to become that person. A streak is something that will help you keep it alive. So keep those New Year's resolutions going in the sense that they're statements of who you want to be, just like we've talked about in the past. And then you're doing the laughably simple activity, recording that you've done it and sharing it to become that person. After all, we are who we repeatedly, or what we repeat, I've just messed that up. I was going for it and I completely messed it up. We are what we repeatedly do. How about that? I finally got it. Have a fantastic day. Download the Streaking app or share it with a friend. You can share your streaks with a friend. Buy the book at Barnes & Noble or Amazon or anywhere books are sold. Until we talk again, keep streaking.